everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome to D-Pad. I'm Rick.
I'm Jeff.
And this is My Nintendo Picross Twilight Princess. My Nintendo Picross The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, I think, is the technical title of all of this.
Oh, that's nice and tight.
Everyone just kind of calls it Twilight Princess Picross.
It's a cute little title.
So I'm joined here by one Mr. Jeffrey Hook.
Yep.
And I'm gonna see if I can do a better job of both playing and speaking. We discovered, so I did one with Sarah, and we determined that wow, it's actually very hard to keep a conversation going,
to think and play Picross at the same time.
It's surprisingly difficult, like more difficult than I anticipated. But so, Mr. Jeff, you are kind of an interesting case among the team on this, where I think you are like the only kind of main cast member person at this point who joined after the entire original chunk of Zelda was like... Actually, I guess that's not entirely true, but like you joined after we started doing A Terrible Fate.
Yes, yeah. So I think I don't think was present for any of like the main Zelda games. I believe that the first one that I played on the channel was Cadence, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right, yeah.
Like I never played any of like the Four Swords stuff. I never played any of the side games. I don't think I was here for like even Zelda Hyrule Warriors. That might have been.
Yeah, no. Well, so the first one that we did for A Terrible Fate was oh God, what was the first one that we did? Now I'm like blanking on it. We did BS Zelda, but that was August of 2018, and that was before Mega Man 11, which I think was your debut. Was that series?
Yes, I think there had been times when I had been over proximate before, after, during recordings or something like that, but it wasn't something I had actively participated in.
Right.
But I believe Mega Man 11 was my first time like on microphone and actually joining in.
Yep. Oh, it's Mallow. Okay, at first I thought it was a monkey from Twilight Princess.
Okay,
but it's Mallow.
You did it.
Cool.
Good job. So yeah, I think that my first introduction to playing a Zelda game on the channel was
Cadence of Hyrule.
Yeah.
How do we get up there?
I watched like a bunch of Zelda games, you know, in the years preceding actually joining the D-Pad. I think, I remember watching Hyrule Warriors pretty well. I think
that was such a weird series. I feel like we had a good time with it, but it was like it was so off from. Whoops! Oh God damn it! I wasn't. Wait, why? All right, I gotta turn that off for starters. I'm like skidding past where I'm trying to stop on here, but yeah, it was such a different gameplay experience to everything else we had really done up to that point.
Well, and I was a fan of Dynasty Warriors. Like my brother Dave and I had played Dynasty Warriors, a number of the different iterations of it. I have no idea what numbers or what titles they were. I don't know. Dynasty Warriors 7, 11, and 6 or something.
Sure.
Were the ones that we played pretty actively. So that was interesting to me, but yeah, it was really haven't gotten in on any main series Zelda stuff.
Well, I'm sorry to inform you that there's not really any main series Zelda stuff. What the fuck is that? Is that a nut?
A pumpkin?
Oh, it is a pumpkin. Kinda. Yeah, I guess so.
A pumpkin?
That's weird. So, well, it's interesting because we've done an episode with you, and we did prior to this an episode with Sarah.
Right.
And one of the questions that I had in mind for folks as we did this was like, hey, so what was like your favorite? What was your favorite out of all of this stuff? What was your favorite Zelda series? And it was like, oh, hey, wait a second. This doesn't really work for like if it's such a limited field of...
Yeah, the one I did, Cadence of Hyrule.
I also got to turn off this hint thing. Like the blue one tells you, oh, you can make a decision in this area.
Oh, there's a discrete move.
Yeah, which I'm like, all right, I gotta get rid of that. But yeah, like, I guess out of the stuff that you've been like, I guess so you were here for like Tingle stuff.
Yes.
And you were here for Cadence of Hyrule. Like, are there any games out of the ones that you were personally involved with that like really stand out? For terribleness, says Sarah off mic somewhere.
Well, I am I mean, I'm a big fan of Crypt and Necrodancer ahead of time.
Oh, yeah.
And when it was Cadence of Hyrule, that was one of the ones, like, we try to get on games that we like on the gamepad, where if somebody really enjoys a particular game or type of game, it's like, yeah, I'm going to get in on that. I have, like, insight and I have opinions. And when Cadence of Hyrule was brought up, I was pumped.
That was an awesome sleeper hit. I had always heard good things about Crypt of the Necrodancer, but never tried it. And then it was like, ooh, they're going to do a Zelda one. That's cool. And then they just announced that they're doing another DLC for it.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting.
Part of why I kind of like bring it up. That was lots and lots of fun. And it was like a re-experiencing of Crypt-style gameplay for me. So that, if we had to talk about favorites that I was a part of, then that probably would have to be it. Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land had its moments. On occasion, it did something fun or clever, or it felt satisfying to do X or Y. But it also just it was kind of just a weird experience. Oh, I made a mistake here. There were so many difficult things.
Oh, no, I know what it is.
And Balloon Trip of Love is definitely up there.
Balloon Trip of Love was, like, shockingly enjoyable throughout. Like,
to say nothing of, like, how great the game mechanics and, the Zelda nature of the game, whatever. It was an enjoyable story.
Yeah.
And the puzzles were interesting, and the secrets were mostly not ridiculous. All in all, it was, it was a pretty fun experience.
Yeah, I agree. I think I said at various points during that game, there was like, this is the best Zelda game on the DS. Like, it was genuinely enjoyable and was not like a pain in the ass to play for virtually the entire thing.
Yep.
Actually, can I hang on? Can I go back? So quit. Yes. I want to change these options because they're really annoying me. Maybe I have to do it inside of here from like the question mark thing. Oh,
that just disabled. Yeah.
There we go.
Perfect.
That works. Okay, cool. So sorry, please continue.
One of the games I almost got in on, Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Which, like, I didn't really know. I just remember about Breath of the Wild watching the episodes that the D-pad did and being like, damn, this is a very for serious game right here, and I would have loved to have been a part of that. I think
I like, it was wild because it's one of those games where you see it as it's coming and you're like, all right, cool, that's gonna be really awesome, and then you play and you're like, this is even more than I ever would have expected.
It knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I'm so pumped for Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever one's called, but
whenever it comes out.
It feels so dorky to refer to a game in a series that doesn't do numbers as a numbered game. Like, it feels strange to say.
Yeah, and it's not like we don't even know if it's going to be a direct sequel to the previous Breath of the Wild.
It looks like it, but like, hypothetically, like, arguably they could just entirely change everything. It's not like they haven't done that before, so.
Yeah, I remember watching that series, and like, I had met Lindsay before, with, chilling with you guys and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I remember like listening to Lindsay and being like, she's really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
and then she never came back.
I only met her like two times at parties or something like that, and she seems fun.
Yep.
And then like Lindsay disappeared from the channel for a while, and like I was like, oh man.
Yep, she went off and did that whole like having a life thing.
Yeah, she's exploring forests and stuff.
Yeah, no, she's having a grand old time.
Dope.
It was a lot of fun to do Breath of the Wild. I feel like I perhaps rightfully got some flack from people for being like, because there's always discussion about like, is this the best Zelda game? My answer has always been a firm no. Not because it's not a good game. It is a great game. It is a truly awesome experience, start to finish. But it doesn't really feel like a Zelda game.
The question is wrong.
It is a wrong question, yeah.
Every Zelda game evolves and introduces new things and is
Yeah.
not a sequel to the previous one. Like, it just is the fact that Link is reincarnated or alternate universe or it's a dream or, there's a million different reasons why every, canon is different in Zelda. With with some through lines and stuff, but...
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, common elements that return and
Sure,
recur and things
it's
that.
cyclic. I think the world of Hyrule
Yes.
it goes in cycles of good and evil and resurgence and sometimes not even Hyrule,
A few
totally
times
depends.
there's some other thing altogether. Speaking of
Wolf Link.
Speaking of games that turn out to be like a different thing entirely, let's talk about Link's Awakening for a minute.
Oh yeah.
So, because we had an incredibly rare kind of opportunity with that, where I think virtually everybody on the team had an awareness of Link's Awakening and the plot behind it and like what is going on in that game, but you did not. You were not familiar with that. Like, so first of all, I know we talked about this when we actually did the game, but like walk people through like your reaction to that unfolding kind of mystery.
Well, I mean, not having had the original in its original format sort of to go on as a reference, I think more than you guys, I was really paying attention to the aesthetic and the presentation of is Link's Awakening DX, right?
It was just like Link's Awakening for the Switch, I guess.
I forget what the actual title was.
Yeah, they didn't give this one... It's confusing because the original Game Boy one is also called just Link's Awakening, but more people seem to have, like, generally have played the Game Boy Color version, which is called Link's Awakening DX.
Okay, that makes sense.
Makes things very confusing.
Yeah, so, I hadn't played the originals, and I really wasn't... There was nothing to kind of, like... tie me into the past in terms of that. So I really, I found myself really, analyzing the game's aesthetic and what it was trying to say and do, and how it was cute but also creepy at the same time. And, it was interesting to experience the game with people who had played it before and really knew it well. There were a lot of times when my mind was blown.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. Because, like, and the thing is, like, another attempt I made during the course of playing through it was to not metagame or assume. Like, it kind of feels like nowadays sometimes there's moments where you've got a plot arc that's happening, and because you're like, oh, I bet the bad guy is the good guy because that's tropic. Like, I really tried not to, guess the game ahead of it happening.
Did that work out for you, do you think?
Overall, yeah. I mean, it's hard to, like, stop your brain from thinking. And on occasion, I had to be like, oh, he's the bad guy or something.
Right.
But the interesting thing was that I probably would say the most interesting thing about experiencing that game was that even though the realization about the true nature of the island kind of dawned slowly on me towards the final half or third of the game, like, at a certain point they're explicit about what's going on.
Yeah, they do. They do. I think the Face Shrine is the point at which they're pretty openly saying, yo, this is a dream.
Yeah, it's referential to a point, but eventually they start to be like, the dreamer awakens and this island's a dream, and you're like, wait, what?
That's all. I mean, that's also the point where the bosses start openly being like, you can't do this, you can't wake him up.
This is not how it's supposed to go, and like there's some other force at work, and so I think the most interesting thing about it was that it's not that I didn't guess that plot. It kind of was,
like
explicitly told to you, and like, I didn't. It wasn't like in minute one of the title screen. I was like, I bet it's all a dream.
Well, ironically, and I know we talked about this as well, the Japanese version of the game is literally called like The Legend of Zelda Dream Island, which is like, guys, you took the most awesome imaginable basis for a plot and just went, who cares?
Gives up the game.
Like, shit, guys.
Well, so what I'm trying to say is that even though the realization was given to me, and it's not like I didn't realize it until the final moment, and then I had that like galaxy mind moment where I was like going through all of my memories,
Inception music playing in your head,
them as to what they actually meant. The thing is that by the end of it, I really wanted it not to be a dream.
Well, so that's one of the neat things, and one of the reasons I'm very glad that we managed to get through the game without dying, because the game rewards you for doing well at it by giving you that little last tiny shred of ambiguity.
Did the windfish reincarnate? What's her name?
Malin.
Malin to
Marin
to be a seagull.
Yeah, the last shot of the game. I forget if they do it exactly in the same in the Switch version, but at the very least in the Game Boy version, if you play through and you don't die at any point during the game, the last thing you see is, for one, there's a seagull that's there that's not normally there, and then you see like Marin's face in the clouds. But the windfish is real.
It was the same thing in the Switch version.
Was it? Okay.
I couldn't
remember if that was also.
It wasn't like obviously an 8-bit, but it was a nice image of, I think, Link on a piece of driftwood, kind of looking up at the sky,
and there's Marin's
like,
head in the
man,
clouds,
I'm awake,
thing.
and then a seagull goes over, and then the face fades
They make
in.
the strong implication, if you do well at the game, there's the implication that either A, Marin got out somehow, like that's just the magic of the windfish, or B, that like Marin's spirit was always in that bird kind of, or something. Like there's just enough that they add to it, like, yeah, but maybe. And like, all right.
And that's one of, I think, the game's great strengths, is that it very quickly built a little self-contained island.
Yeah.
That felt live. It
really felt populated.
Movement, and there were people doing their own thing, and this
Characters
person
going
doesn't
from place
like
to
that
place,
person.
and,
they're visiting this village, and everybody kind of knows there's these weird secrets, but they kind of are like,
Yeah, no one really talks about it, whether it's out of fear or out of like, oh, whatever. It's all just hocus pocus.
Yeah, this island's just weird and magical. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes some blue light appears in the east, because of, I don't know. Don't worry about
ghosts,
it. It's
probably.
fine.
I don't know, man.
It didn't kill me.
Yeah.
So it very quickly built a little world that I cared about, and I didn't really know many of these characters.
Yep.
And so I think I said it pretty explicitly in the Let's Play, but I had watched like some chunks of a speed run of the game. I think from the original
Game Boy version.
Yeah, but not really watched all the way through. Like I think I'd picked it up here or there, and it was during my 8-bit glitches are fascinating phase for me. Where somebody like overflows a number just barely, and it does this, or they get up one Z-axis, and then they can do crazy things. And
I used to be so proud of myself for being able to do there's like a map glitch. It's like super basic. Everybody knows it these days, but like in Link's Awakening, if you press the select button, which goes to the map screen, as you're on like the couple frames where the map starts to the screen starts to transition over to the next screen, like as you're walking to the edge, then when you come back from the map screen, you'll be in the same position you were when you paused, but the map transition will have finished. So you can warp to the other side of a screen by doing that, and there's lots and lots and lots of ways. One of the most popular
sequence with that.
Yeah, one of the most popular early speedruns does that. Like uses that. You put yourself onto a platform you're not supposed to be onto, and you walk around the edge. You pick up here's the power bracelet, and then you walk further off the edge, and you're just in the final boss thing. And it's like, oh, all right,
well that works.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had some basis of the game, a little bit, just enough to know the nature of the game, and that was it. And it was a speed run, obviously, so no plot was read out loud. And no discussion was
everything
made. Yeah. And again, I never really watched it fully, so I kind of had the most basic idea of what the game is. I knew it was an island. I had heard of the windfish before.
Yep.
And in fact, Ben and I had discussed the windfish before and how he loved the image and it was an important game to him and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But he never really said the reason.
By the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, he was good about not being like, oh,
my
Jeff
biggest
has
fear.
played this.
My biggest fear in getting ready for that was that someone, even offhandedly and innocently, may have spoiled a thing that
or me being, or somebody being responsible in our Discord and posting in the Zelda spoilers section, being
but
like, I can't wait until Jeff finds out.
Yeah.
But because I'm all over the Discord all the time,
just
click on it.
Past it.
What is this spoiler? No.
Yeah, fuck. Because nothing's worse than having a suspicion and then having it confirmed not by the thing that you're like it'd be so my thing. for me, when preparing a brief history of the Infinity Stones, I went looking because I was like, I don't know what race Drax is. Like, what alien species is he in the like, did they ever name that? Like, it'd be a useful, like, noun to use as, like, whatever his species is. So I went looking, and I wound up on the MCU wiki, and I was like, all right, maybe they'll have something here. And I scroll down, and it's like, name, family members, and then it said date of death, 2018. I was like, fuck. And this was, like, the morning leading into the premiere of Infinity War. It's like, shit, fuck, are you kidding me?
Somebody already knows, god damn it.
And like I already like, everyone knew that there was a good chance that there were characters that were gonna die.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, oh my god, I cannot believe. And it's like, all right, shit. Now I'm gonna go to the movies and be like, all right, when's he gonna die? How's it gonna die? When's it gonna happen?
It's gonna happen.
Granted, the way that shit goes down was way more interesting, than just, oh yeah, he dead.
And
like,
that's kind of relevant to how I had these realizations about Link's Awakening Link's Awakening remake. Was that I kind of went in like stages of grief.
Yep.
Where I started to realize, and then I denied it initially, being like, no,
there's no way. There's no way.
That would be crazy.
Yep.
And then eventually I started to get like,
holy
information.
Shit, this is crazy.
And then I started to bargain. I was like, okay, but what if the people on the island are shipwreck survivors?
Oh, okay,
or,
all right.
I think during the episode I came up with a number of theories that were completely wrong.
Well, no, they weren't. That's the thing. That was the wild part. You came up with 3 different theories, and all of them were like 50% correct.
Kind of on the way there, yeah.
Like, that was the crazy part to me, was like, wow, he is so much closer than he even realizes.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure about anything. I just was kind of throwing out what I was thinking. And I was bargaining. Like, I was hoping that, like, okay, so maybe there's a ghost ship at sea that sailed into, some weird void where the Windfish's dream was happening, and it stopped them in their tracks.
Which, ironically, is very close to how Phantom Hourglass works.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's literally like the plot leans in so hard that there's a fan theory that has yet to be disproven, I think, but there's a fan theory that Oceus, the Ocean King, who is a flying whale who has a world inside his consciousness, is just the Windfish.
Right. Without them saying explicitly this is the Windfish.
Hey, by the way, that's the Windfish.
Yeah.
His name is Freddy. He's the Windfish.
So, yeah, I had all these thoughts and things, like, not wanting it to all just be a dream, or like, and then I started to kind of bargain down. I was like, oh, maybe they're all just shipwreck survivors, or they, when Link solves this puzzle, they'll all sail out with him.
Yeah,
and they'll pick him
all
up
go
on
together
the ship and be like, we're going to Hyrule. Hop on,
hooray,
kid.
we're out of here.
Hey, you look familiar.
Yep.
That kind of thing. And then, Marin would like look at us and be like, you definitely look familiar.
Like, you look really familiar.
Yeah.
Do I know you?
I was hoping that we'd save them somehow. And then eventually I was bargaining, like, okay, so it's not all of them. Maybe
a few of them.
Maybe a couple of them.
Maybe
like
some of them are cursed.
Marin and the guy with the black hair who, and then this person, like my favorites. Maybe my favorites are real and won't go away. And then,
It's so heartbreaking. I remember that being when I first played as a kid, and even as an adult, like, playing it and going back to it, it's like, there's parts, especially in that ending, where I get a little choked up, where I'm like, fuck, this really still hits me hard. It's so weird.
It was sad. I was a little unhappy about it.
Yeah,
the
it
way
hurts
things
when you're
went
like,
down.
wow, these characters are kind of friends now.
Yep.
I've gotten to really know them,
I've had that problem.
None of them exist.
I've had that problem since I've been a kid. I like struggled to actually bring myself to finish RPGs. Like,
we're like, I just don't want this to be over yet.
It took me like years, like 3 or 4 years, to actually bring myself to finish Final Fantasy 3. Every time I get to, like, Kefka's the floating continent at the very end, and being, moving up towards the fighting, getting to the final save point, I'd like save my game and not play for a few months. And the next time I go to play, I'd be like, no, I don't want it to end. I'm gonna restart a game and I'm gonna do it differently.
Yep, it can't end like this.
Yes, and just kept doing it. So I had problem letting go of characters and things that I've come to love, and that it was tough at the end of Link's Awakening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Saying, well, they all don't exist except
none of
for
them
maybe
are here.
A seagull.
Yeah. You're like, okay, maybe that one's real, or maybe it isn't. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be nothing. Who knows? So yeah, it was definitely impactful to me for my first viewing.
Yeah. It's such a trip. I'm glad that you got to experience that without like having anything like massively like, oh yeah, by the way.
Yes.
Like, because yeah, suspicions are fine. That's like part of the fun of a good mystery is going, wait, hang on, holy shit, is that
For sure.
Is that thing right there? Like, no. Like that shit is fun as hell. And nothing is worse than going in and something very early or someone or whatever being like, oh yeah, by the way, like, no, don't tell me that shit.
Yeah,
that ruins so much of the fun of like figuring this shit out.
If I had known the nature of the game from the beginning of the recording session, I still would have had fun.
Yeah,
it was a cute game. It was.
I feel like at that point you start
nice.
looking for clues that it's there to be like, oh, that right there, that's a good clue. That whatever.
I think. I also think I said it during the Let's Play, but. From a critical standpoint, I almost wish they would have like leaned in more heavily to the dream-like thing without being like, whoa, it's weird like a dream. But you say something like, the magic is growing more powerful, and other people are experiencing this too, and it's not, just Link or something.
It definitely, there's more they could have done with it. I don't know. It's weird because on the one hand, it's like, if anything, I almost kind of wish that with them remaking it in the first place that they had expanded on the ideas a bit, because in the original I think it was perfect for the Game Boy, such as weird little mysterious thing of a game.
Yeah, we talked about the aesthetic of grayscale versus
it works so well for it. It was the most perfect use of that system and that setup that I've ever seen.
Because I love spooky in Zelda games. Man. Like Ocarina of Time, and specifically Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask had a lot of creepy in it.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
And
no shortage there.
I love the creepy in Zelda games.
Oh, man.
It doesn't all have to be spooks and skeletons, but
I kind of wonder if they're ever really going to go back to that. It seems like it almost seems like they want to give it a try with the upcoming Breath of the Wild sequel. Like that intro was way spookier than literally any other any moment in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, yeah. And even Breath of the Wild did a moderately good job, because I've been forever traumatized by the Reavers from Mega Man Legends.
Yeah, and my God, that stuck with me for so many years.
The ancients in Breath of the Wild gave me Reaver flashbacks.
The little zombie dude guys?
These crazy, arcane technology, mindless, killing machine things that just activate, and you're like, fuck.
The Guardians. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, what did I say, ancients?
I think you said ancient. I thought you were talking about the little, yoga-looking guys, but...
No, all the Guardian things are the same kind of deal of, the old technology with red eyes and stuff.
Yep. Very, very similar kind of aesthetic, very similar kind of tone going with that, and, Whoop. What did I fuck up there? All right, I made a mistake somewhere, and now I'm gonna be paying for it.
To undo it?
Maybe that right there was a mistake from earlier. But yeah, I don't know. I liked that they kind of keep leaning into this idea of of past societies in Zelda. Like, by the time you arrive, it's not the same society, but repeatedly there are societies of the past that have fallen as a direct result of their obsession with technology. And in Skyward Sword, there's the robot race that just vanishes, and we don't entirely find out why.
Yeah,
and
what happened to them?
The Twilight, there's a strong fan theory that they had figured out time travel, and the gods essentially cursed them as a result.
That is not allowed.
They're like, nope, that is forbidden magic. You are not allowed to touch that. And then you've got stuff like this, where the Guardians, where they got so into, we're going to have a technological solution to Ganon, and then Ganon goes, yeah, but I can just possess that shit.
Yeah, I'll do it anyway.
So yeah, I don't know. I would love for them to get into that a bit. And the irony, too, being the original concept of The Legend of Zelda way back on the NES was that there was going to be an element of time travel, and that they wanted the Triforce was originally going to be computer chips and stuff.
Whoa!
It was clearly designed in a way in the same way that a college student goes to make a film and it's all about college students. Here's some programmers and it's a fantasy setting and you save the world, but really it was a computer all along. And it's like,
okay.
Sure, Hideki, come on, man.
original ideas, man.
Oh my god. But yeah, like it's just kind of like, all right, I would love to see them try that, like make the technology a real actual piece of that equation. They kind of did with Breath of the Wild, but like not enough to really be like, yeah, it's like a main core theme of this game.
Well, I mean, like we said earlier, Zelda as a conceptual series is a cycle.
Yeah.
Good and evil keep spinning, turning, whirling in this ever, going battle between the two of them, where one defeats the other one, and the other one comes back and dominates.
Yeah.
But then the good one finds them finally after domination for a while, and it's a cycle.
Yeah.
So the idea of civilizations being buried underneath 10,000 years of history ago, when the battle for good and evil happened last, and like a whole civilization went down. So that sort of a thing is really neat in the Zelda series, where they can use their old history to influence the games actively, as they go on. Like if there was some, I wouldn't be surprised if in Breath of the Wild 2 there was some Link to the Past reference or something like that.
That's the thing,
like,
is
we literally found something from Link to the Past, and we're like, oh shit.
Their references to past games are so, I guess, passive, but like, because in Breath of the Wild there's like areas where if you look closely you'll notice, oh, this is literally Lon Lon Ranch. These are the ruins of Lon Lon Ranch and stuff like that. It's like, it's neat, but it's not really like in service of anything other than going, by the way, this is sort of the same world. And it's like, all right.
So, I don't know how much you know about World of Warcraft. This is relevant,
Not
by the
much,
way.
but
so WoW had a constantly expanding world throughout all of the various expansions, and things occasionally changed here or there. Like, there was a through plot of the game.
Yeah.
So there are factions struggling for control. There's issues. There's bad guys, good guys, neutral guys. There's all this storyline that happens throughout the expansion. So there, when you fight the boss sequences, you
get like some
you
stuff.
learn why you're doing it and what's happening, which is nice. The best
storytelling.
Yeah, the best thing I think WoW ever did in terms of their evolution of the world was a release called Cataclysm, which
I think I'm familiar with this. This was them doing like essentially an event to sort of, help facilitate a major like server shift they were doing, I think.
Well, Cataclysm, most specifically what I'm referring to, changed the map.
Yeah, okay.
So areas that had existed since 1.0 or 1.12 or whatever of World of Warcraft were no longer the same.
Yep.
They were irrevocably changed. And my favorite example is a place called Thousand Needles, where there's a bunch of these very spindly, tall rock formations through which wind had been blowing for millennia, making these spires. And you ran around Thousand Needles, and there were these rock spires that reached up, way, way into the sky and stuff.
Okay.
Not to space, but just, very tall spires. Yeah. Cataclysm, a massive, entire world-changing disaster happens, without getting too deep into the plot or anything like that.
Okay, yeah.
And Thousand Needles, because of a shift in tidal forces and like water planes, becomes a lake.
Huh.
And whereas you used to be at the bottom of these really, really tall spires, you're now in a lake from which all of these spires stick up. And it's no longer like guys running around on the ground. It's like an aquatic area underneath. So they took the original layout of a well-known place and they through a natural disaster changed the entire nature of it.
But now, like, here is how we've kind of made this into a new thing.
Your beautiful, idyllic, level 1, pastoral-looking countryside now has a disgusting crack scar through it from which like purple stuff is coming out, and now it's a level 60 area, and you don't go there when you start,
like you do not you avoid it all costs.
That's not a starting area anymore.
Yeah, actually, one of the things that I really appreciate about of all games, Fortnite, when they do events, they really, really do events.
Yes.
Like their whole black hole thing, I saw videos of it and I was like obsessed. I've never played Fortnite.
Yep.
I don't know if someone could convince me to play Fortnite, but I saw how they handled their like weird black hole event to end Chapter 1, which was their first 10 seasons of how the game worked. And it was like, holy shit, that was some serious, like, they brought back like a rocket that had been thrown away into time in like chapter 5, and like the bad guy of chapter 3 arrived with it and used a meteor from chapter 8 to smash into and like just this whole history of this place that had already been shifting, and like, oh, here's a big cube that's rolling around chapter 7, and now the cube has destroyed some of these mountains and things. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, it's funny. That's kind of tropic. I play Apex Legends, this same sort of like, battle arena sort of thing. And season to season, their map goes through structural changes where like everything was fine, and then something really bad happened, and now that little village with all those buildings you like to go run around in is now the ocean.
Yeah, and like,
it's been dropped into the sea, and now there's a weird cliff and like a pile of dirt. Things change from season to season.
It's just kind of clever how people will act, like how they can actually like pull stuff off and be like, let's do something really fucking weird.
Sure, and I love the idea that Lon Lon Ranch is buried somehow in this field, but there's 60 feet of dirt and new growth over it. And maybe there's some couple of like mountains or the biggest rocks in Lon Lon Ranch are just poking up through the surface, or like
there's like it's like there's little bits of wood and things that are where the old stables used to be and things, and it's like, okay, it's wildly unreasonable for this to be the state of this after 10,000 years, but I get what you're going for, kind of thing.
Just the evolution of what is familiar into something that is new and exciting.
Yes,
I think it's hard to nail that, and I think that Cataclysm did that so well, and I think that that's something I'd love to see, that you see elements of in Zelda games.
Yeah, you never see them commit fully to it, but there is like a piece of that.
Yes,
that's present.
Like, I would be fascinated if Breath of the Wild 2 was Breath of the Wild 1 plus 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Just the same landscape, but literally the same map, but 1,000 years later, after 1,000 years of progress, there's new cities, we're steampunky, like, I don't know, some not a direct sequel in like, Link's child, then had kids, and, was a good dad, and now he's on his own adventure. It's time disconnected, but the same place, but it's changed over the years.
Yeah, I think so. It seems from everything I've seen so far, like they're shooting for a direct sequel.
Yeah, I haven't really watched that. That's what I would have loved.
Yeah.
I haven't really watched a lot about the release stuff, and you're right. It does seem like it is going to be like
like they're gonna
pretty much one to the next.
My hope is that because the trailer takes place like underground and all this stuff, my hope is they're going to be uncovering and like discovering and even spelunking through older like dungeony things from past games, like in the same way that the overworld is inspired by Zelda 1. How about the Breath of the Wild 2 takes inspiration from Zelda 1's dungeons and the dungeons of the various games, and like let's reimagine some old shit, but now you can climb around on stuff.
Throw some procedural underground dungeons in there or something.
Yeah,
or like spelunking where you go. I mean, this is open world Zelda, so you can go into this cave and find this cool ass thing.
I think it'd be really interesting
for sure.
I don't know if it necessarily be good, but it would certainly be interesting, and I'm always down for a game that tries something interesting.
Yes.
Man, I wasn't expecting this level to take this long, but Jesus, this one is like a specific pain in the ass.
It is a little more complex. It's been interesting watching you play this.
Yeah.
The exchange between the actual data on screen versus trying to interpret the picture ahead of time.
Oh yeah, I'm generally not even looking at the picture, but this would look to me like it's the male guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, what the hell? Like there's just like so for people who don't do Picross much, there are puzzles that are like just like they flow easily. Like you can go from, all right, here's this and then here and then that, and now I can do these and now I can do this down here, like stuff like that. This one has been not a lot of that, which has been making it a much slower progression than normal. Like all I need is like one good clue here, and I think I'll be good on the rest of it. It's just like,
well, you're missing.
Oh, nope, here it is right here.
Yeah.
That actually helps quite a bit. There we go. Okay. We're back in business
because I was worried about the two hanging out in the top right there.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's discrete yet.
No, we're close to it though.
Yeah.
Got that. Which means that. Yeah, we're basically there.
1 and 1.
Yup.
And then down and right.
That.
There.
Here we go. Yeah, we're in business.
Bang.
It's also a trick with like the way that we're doing this recording. It's hard to keep track of columns and rows easily.
Mm-hmm.
But all right. Well, I guess that's
Check
probably
mark.
going to be it for us with this one. Yeah, the postman. There we go. Thanks for chilling.
Yeah.
And some good insight. Hopefully people got some cool stuff out of that.
Yeah. Legend of Zelda is great. I'm looking forward to being on more Zelda games in the future once they are created, produced, and put out.
Oh, we got Symphony of the Mask coming, I guess this fall, and Breath of the Wild 2 is probably happening next year.
Oh,
so.
no. More cadence.
I know.
Hooray.
It's the worst.
Well, excuse me, princess. Check it out. You got the with the and the with the.
No one's gonna guess that Dustin's just gonna randomly show up for this. And then I realized, oh wait, we're doing Battle Quest before this. They're going to be 100% sure that Dustin's around right before this. Like that's not gonna be a surprise to literally anybody, other than like, oh, he was in more than one Zelda thing. Like it's not gonna be the same level of like, oh shit, Dustin's here.
Yeah, I know I haven't been around for a while, but let me just say, I already hate this.